Chris again, coming at you with another video. Quick wristwatch check. I'm wearing the Omega Seamaster, still loving that piece. But as promised, this is today's video is the Glycine Combat Sub versus the Sinn104 video that you've been waiting for. Now I know a lot of you guys will say that the Sinn104 is a pilot's watch, and the Glycine Combat Sub is a dive watch. I know they're two different watches, but I feel like the Sinn104 wears more like a dive watch. And that's one of the reasons why I'm more attracted to it over a pilot style watch, because I do like pilot's watches, but I'm more of a dive watch type guy, and that's why I feel like it wears so well. And I feel like in times like these, when you're hard pressed to find watches at great value, I feel like these are two watches that a lot of people would look at and will be looking at, do a little research. And this is like I said, this is a dual, and I didn't want to show you guys on the camera my nasty handwriting, you can see that, but I am doing the dual in a category of 10 different categories. Excuse me while I'm looking at my paper here, guys. First is brand history, second is versatility, third is movement, fourth is value, fifth is size, sixth is X factor, seventh is wearability, 8th is durability, 9th is design, and 10th is quality. And I am doing a 10 out of 10 scale on each of those points to get a total of almost 100 points or thereabouts. So that is how I came up with my point system. And let me know down in the comments if you guys would change something, what you would do different. Like I said, let me know. And I feel like these are two different brands, but two similar kind of watches in a way. Whereas the watch person's watch is they're gonna know these watches, so that's why I decided to duel these. I feel like it would be a fun little duel to do. Give you guys something a little fun to watch, little away time from everything else. But anyways, guys, we'll go down to the desktop and I'll show you the watches in question. Here are the two watches in question. As you know, on the right is the Sinn104. On the left is the Glycine Combat Sub. Both represent all the different iterations for both brands. As you know, on the right, the Sinn104 comes in a white dial, a blue dial, and a green dial. And it also comes with a numbers dial, which I prefer the non-numbers. I feel like it's a little more versatile, personal opinion. And then on the left, the Glycine is represented with the Combat Sub. This is the GoldenEye. They have a lot of different iterations, a lot of different bezel options, colorways, and everything like that. But I feel like the GoldenEye is the most unique and kind of coolest out of all of them. If you want something that kind of pops out, this one's definitely the watch for that. Whereas the Sinn104 is a little more subdued, at least in these iterations of colorways. But the first part of the scoring, as I mentioned, is brand history. And I feel like the Glycine edges out the Sinn104 with a 10 out of 10, just because the Glycine's an older brand. Zinn's been around since, I believe, the 60s. They were founded by Helmut Zinn. May he rest in peace. He was a test pilot during World War II, I believe, for Germany. And correct me if I'm wrong down there, but I believe it started in the 60s. And they have a lot of tactical style watches, and they have really, really killer watches. And Glycine has a little more history, I believe. They've been around a little bit longer, and they have a big military following as well as Zinn does. And the Glycine, I really want to get a chance to check out the Airman. It's definitely got a lot more history too than the Combat Sub, but the Combat Sub is an awesome piece. So the Sinn104 gets an 8 out of 10. The Glycine Combat Sub gets a 10 out of 10 in brand history. Still pretty close on that. Let me know if you agree. And again, guys, let me know if you agree down in the comments on whether on my scores, what would you change, what would you do, take differently. Now, as far as the next score on the category is versatility, I chose the Sinn104, got a 10 out of 10 for versatility, just because I feel like, especially the one that I have, is so versatile. It looks great on any kind of strap. And even the other Combat Subs, they are really versatile, but they don't look as great, I don't feel like, on a lot of different strap options. You're kind of limited, even though you can kind of make it work. But the Sinn104 looks great on leather, looks great on NATO, looks great on, like I said, it just looks great on everything. So that got a 10 out of 10, and the Combat Sub got an 8 out of 10. And the next one for the movement, I edged the Sinn104 off a little bit of the Glycine Combat Sub. I gave the Sinn104 a 9 out of 10 and the Combat Sub a 10 out of 10, only because the Sinn104 has the Sinn104 movement. Now, certain models of the Sinn104 do have the ETA movement, but that's only in the limited production models. And these, the real popular ones, are Sinn104 base movement. And there's nothing wrong with that movement, but I just feel like ETA is a longer running movement, longer, when I say longer running, I mean it's been around, I feel like, a lot longer than Sinn104 has, and a lot of watchmakers, I think, prefer ETA, so I feel like ETA is probably an easier movement to work on than Sinn104, so that's the only reason why the Combat Sub edged out the Sinn104 in the movement is because of the ETA-based movement. And they have the I guess you can say they have the ways, the means to buy a lot of ETA movements, being the brand they are. Of course, they are owned by Invicta now, but that doesn't really mean anything. It's still the same exact watch, and it hasn't really changed, and I don't think it will change. Though they may end up putting Sinn104 movement in there, guys, at some point, if it is harder to get from this watch group. But that's why I gave the Glycine a 10 out of 10 and the Sinn104 a 9 out of 10. Now, for value, I gave the Sinn104 a 9 out of 10 and the Glycine Combat Sub a 10 out of 10. And the reason being for the value on that is that the Sinn, of course, is a lot more expensive at $1,500 or so. And I believe it's like $1,600 on a bracelet, closer to $1,700. Correct me if I'm wrong down there, guys. It's been a little bit since I bought those in. And the Glycine Combat Sub, you can pick these up for under $500 all day long with a Swiss ETA movement, being Swiss made. That's just a big plus in my book with that Swiss ETA movement for under $500 compared to the $1,500. And again, there's a lot of technology that goes into the Sinn, so that's a lot of the part where the Sinn is a little more expensive. And you can kind of tell the difference in quality, but it's not that big of a noticeable difference to where the Sinn is the $1,500, though the Sinn does hold value better than the Glycine Combat Sub. So for value, I gave the Glycine Combat Sub a 10 out of 10 just because it's you can pick them up all day long under $500 off of eBay, or you can pick them up even off Mass. I've seen Mass Drop. I think they're called Drop. They now have them a lot under $500. Now, no one sells them for about $600 something, but they are a authorized dealer. And now, as far as size goes, I gave the Sinn104 a 10 out of 10 and the Glycine Combat Sub a 9 out of 10. And as you can see, the Sinn is a 41 millimeter, which I feel will fit a little bit more wrist, whereas the Combat Sub is a 42 millimeter, though it doesn't really wear that bad. It doesn't really wear as bad as the 42 millimeter Spec State. These are really close in size, the way they wear. But I just gave these in the edge on the size. It is really comfortable on the wrist. And it doesn't even really feel like you're wearing the watch on there. So that's why I gave those scores. And the X factor, of course, will go to the Glycine Combat Sub. I give it a 10 out of 10 just because they have a lot of different options. Like the Skull and Knife version, which it pops out at you just a little bit more than the Sinn104 does. I gave the Sinn an 8 out of 10 on that, just because the X factors. It's a cool watch. Yeah, it has that bidirectional bezel. A lot of cool, unique factors. But I feel like the Combat Sub, even on all the different iterations, like there is one that Dane sent this one in. I appreciate you sending this in, by the way, Dane. If you guys haven't subscribed to his channel, go down and subscribe to his channel. I'll leave a link down there below. Celine Driver, he has a blue and orange one, which I feel like if you like the blue and orange colors, and I do, is a pretty cool option as well. It's a little more unique, and like I said, these do come in a lot of different colorways. Too many to list, so I feel like the X factor goes to the Glycine. Now the wearability, I gave 10 out of 10 to the Sinn104, and for the Glycine, I gave a 9 out of 10, only because as mentioned just before in the size, what I was mentioning in the size version, I just feel like the wearability, the Zen wears a little bit almost like it's not even on the wrist. And the Glycine, you can kind of almost tell it's on the wrist, even though it wears really, really light. But they almost wear about the same. But like I said, I've had more experience with the Zen, and it wears a lot more comfortable. Now, durability, I gave the Zen a 10 out of 10, and the Glycine Combat Sub a 9 out of 10. Just because I feel like the Zen is going to last a lot longer. And the German, which the Swiss make great watches, but the Germans, they make stuff to last really long. And like I said, the Swiss do too, but I just feel like that German engineering in here and all the technologies that go in here make it a really, really good quality watch. And now for design, I gave both watches a 9 out of 10. So they kind of matched up there. They kind of have their own unique kind of thing going. And they're both different watches. Like I said, the Sinn104 is a pilot's watch, whereas the Glycine Combat Sub is a diver's watch. And the Glycine Combat Sub isn't really trying to copy anything. It's definitely its own thing. So they both get a 9 out of 10 just for uniqueness on both angles and backers. Now for quality, I gave both a 10 out of 10. And that it's just because, like I said, they are different price ranges. But I figured it would be a fun little duel to do, you know, just to show you guys that you don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. Even though the Zen is a little more expensive than the Glycine, and you can get the Glycine all day long for under $500. Like I said, with the Swiss added movement, you can't really beat it. And even the Selena movement isn't too bad on the Zen. Knock on wood, I haven't had any problems with it. And the quality, like I said, on the Zen is just one that's on par with the Swiss watches, with the Japanese watches. I feel like it's a little step above the Japanese watches. I don't really have experience with Grand Seiko yet, but I do feel like Zen, the German watches, most of what I've seen are a little bit above Japanese watches. I know I'm probably going to get a little bit of hate comments down there for that, but most of the Seikos with the alignment problems and everything, I feel like the German watches are just a little bit better, and you kind of get what you pay for on that. So that's why I gave these both a 10 out of 10. And as you know, I'm a Seiko fanboy, so try not to knock me too much. Now the total score for the Sinn104 was a 93 out of 100, and believe it or not, the Glycine Combat Sub edged it out, 94 100. So that is probably surprised you because, as you know, I love my Sinn104. And I would probably end up getting one of these Combat Sub in. I don't know if I'll buy this certain iteration. This is a cool iteration, but I try to buy for versatility these days. So I'm not sure if I'll get the Golden 9. But we'll go and do a conclusion here. Basically, in conclusion, as I mentioned, the Sinn104 was edged out by 1 point. So these are really, really close, I feel like. Let me know in the comments again what scores you would change, what you would do different if you feel like that score is deserved. And again, this is all just subjective, and I love my Sinn104. It's definitely one that would not leave the collection because it's definitely a favorite. And I feel like I will end up probably picking up a Glycine Combat Sub at some point. And I appreciate Dan for sending this out and letting me see this, try this on, letting me see one in person finally. So Glycine is definitely, if you're thinking about it, go for a Glycine Combat Sub. You can't really beat it. But if you also have the extra money, go for the Zen. And if you have the funds for both, go for both. Like I said, in times like these, it's kind of hard to justify even spending extra money on a watch, let alone, you know, going and spending $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 on a Rolex or Patek. Well, they're more than $10,000. You get what I'm saying. But you can still find value and bang for buck watches that are really killer and offer a lot of value for money. Just got to know where to shop, do your research, and like I said, I just wanted to do a fun little duel, even though these are different style watches. They're both really cool watches, and I feel like these are the watches, if you're in the know, if you're in the watch hobby, you know these watches. If you're not, you don't. So I feel like this was a fun little duel just to show two different watches that were kind of like a watch enthusiast watch, and you're probably looking at both of these or have looked at both of these at some point. So I just wanted to do that quick little duel just to show you, just have a little bit of fun. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. If you haven't already, like, subscribe. I will see you next time. Peace.